Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 119th Rome Total War battle that I'm putting onto YouTube. The team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Gladius, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. Then we have Brotherhood member Killer B, and he has bought the Rome Brutio faction. Then we have Brotherhood member Sacred, who has bought the Scipio faction, and then myself, Spartan Commander, who has also bought the Rome Scipio faction. So there's our team there. I think, as you can see, there's a lot of experience. I know that Sacred and Killer's been playing RTW for at least 8, maybe 9 years. So this should be a great battle for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have Titans Mohammed, who has bought the Rome Giulio faction. And then we have OTD Pen G4P, and he has bought, I also think, the Giulio faction. And then we have RTW player FTD, who has bought the Giulio faction. And then Heaven's Douchebag, Admiral's douchebag there, and he has bought the Giulio faction. As you can see, right from the very beginning of the battle here, it looks like there's going to be an aggressive attacking move here. This should be an exciting game for you to watch. Here at the very early stages of the battle, you can see that one of the Giulio enemy generals there has brought his archers out wide to our right flank. Now the reason for that is that Urban's weak spots for arrow fire are their flanks and rear. So he's actually brought these archer units out to our flank here with a view to try and shoot our units in the flank with those archers. Here's a general overview of the battlefield. As you can see, there's lots of good armies, lots of experience on this RTW battlefield. And I say, once it gets going, it should be a great battle for you to watch. As you can see here on the left, the enemy general that brought his archers out has backed those archers up with cavalry to stop us doing any lightning strikes on his archers with our cavalry. So it's always best, if you bring your archers out to the flank, to guard them with your cavalry units, because obviously the enemy don't want to be shot in the flank, and very often they will try a lightning cavalry hit to try and take those archers out. If you notice, I've turned my infantry slightly around to the left there, with a view to try and minimise the archer damage that those two units are doing. If you notice now, I'm running my infantry towards those archer units there, enabling, I think it's Sacred's cavalry there to be in there, go in there and actually take out one of those archer units. Now you can either, when they move their archer units out, you can either remain passive and stand still and just try and turn to try and avoid getting too much archer damage, or you can attack. It depends on how you feel at the time. If you notice here that Sacred has brought infantry and cavalry over to the far left flank here, so that's quite an aggressive move there by Sacred there, bringing that infantry and cavalry over. And as you can see here, the enemy Giulio general and myself are kind of squaring off against each other there. But Sacred's moved so far over to the left now with those units and that bit of cavalry, he's become a little bit isolated. If you notice there, I'm bringing my cavalry over there to support him, but he is quite isolated there. So it's best to get some reinforcements over. And you can see my cavalry go in there. You can see that he's routed some of the cavalry on the left there. And as my cavalry charges in, if you notice, the enemy Giulio general there sent in his cav general and another cavalry unit into the flank of my cavalry there. And if you notice, there's a couple of Giulio infantry units moving over as well. Right, if you notice there, the enemy cavalry general has just been killed, so the morale of obviously of his troops are going to drop now. Now, if you notice that those infantry units are just reaching me, and I'm going to pull my cavalry out of that little melee that was going on there, because like I've said in other battle videos, you don't really want to tangle your cavalry with infantry in that situation, because all that'll happen is that your cavalry, you'll lose loads of cavalry, and you'll become worse off. But if you notice there, I drew back, rallied and charged back in, so I got 6 cavalry units of charge bonus there into those 2 Julii infantry units. As you see, things are very fluid here on the left now, lots going on. You can see the enemy's brought some more reinforcements over in the form of cavalry. If you notice though that Sacred now is very isolated over on that left flank, very susceptible to being hit by cavalry attacks. Meanwhile here I'm having to watch out for the red, obviously the Julii infantry in front of me, as I'm anticipating that they're probably going to attack me quite heavily at any stage now. But as you can see, the few units of infantry and the cavalry that Sacred's taken over on the left are extremely exposed to being hit there, and they are very isolated. And you can see there's more and more enemy reinforcements coming over in the form of cavalry. As you can see on that left, I'm charging my cavalry in to try and help Sacred, but with all the reinforcements of the enemy cavalry coming over there, if they charge in, there's a good chance that all that cavalry charging in is going to rout my cavalry and probably what's left of Sacred's units there on the left. And as you can see, bang, as all that cavalry charges in there. That is a mass cavalry hit here on our left. The units that Sacred sent over and basically all my cavalry have just been routing that hit. Just going to pause the game here for us to take stock of what's happening. As you can see, as I just said, all of Sacred's units there, or the best part of them, and all my cavalry and I think his cavalry have just been routed in that massive cavalry hit by the enemy team. Nice move by the enemy team there. As you can see, there's enemy infantry moving round to our left as well on this flank. As you can see in my formation, I've moved out several units over to that left flank to try and help Sacred, but they've been taken out as well. So things are not looking very good here on our left flank. As you can see in the centre here, we've got some reinforcements trying to get over to us in the shape of the our Brutii cavalry ally there was just bringing his Brutii cavalry over. Meanwhile, over on the right, there's not a lot going on, and I think everybody's thinking about shifting their units over to the left flank here. The other side to attack, and our side to actually try and shore up and reinforce our left flank. So as you see, things are not looking very good for us at the moment. Just have to see what happens. I think basically all of the enemy cavalry now are on our left flank here. But also I'm very aware that I've got Julii infantry in front of me as well, and they are probably poised to attack. You can see my allies are trying to bring reinforcements over to help out here, as they've seen the massive cavalry hit that's probably just about coming in now to hit me in the flank. Can you see all that mass cavalry charging in to me? But I'm also very aware that that Julii cavalry in front of me could turn and attack at any time, so I've got to try and hold the front and the left flank if I can. You see what I mean about coming in? So you can see another cavalry units charging to the front of my units there, and I'm just managing to hold there before my allies manage to get over to take a bit of pressure off me. It literally is the cavalry has arrived, if you've heard of that saying. And it's a good job they did, because I don't know how much longer I would have held there against that massive cavalry hit, plus some infantry units coming in the front of me as well. So there you go, new players watching this. Notice how my allies got over as soon as they could. They could see the danger on the left flank and came over to help as soon as they could. Nice teamwork there by the Brotherhood team. That was a very aggressive attack on our left flank there by the enemy, and as I've said in other battle videos, if you attack then you keep the enemy on the back foot, and we were kind of having to react to their attacking tactics there. So well done to them, and it came very close to them taking out our left flank. So nice moves there by my allies, getting over just in time there. As you can see now, everybody's kind of reforming ready for what's going to happen next. My guess is now that the emphasis will shift over to the right side now, because they've seen that our left has now become very strong. So if they want to attack again, my guess is they're going to go over to the right flank there and try their luck on the right flank. But if you notice, we've actually got forces over there moving around to the right ourselves. So we're actually kind of attacking on the right anyway there. If you notice, a lot of the enemy SPQR units are starting to rout there with the impact of that cavalry and infantry attack on the right. So if you notice there, we've turned what looked like a pretty bad situation on our left, where we were being vigorously attacked, into a nice attacking move on our right. So we've switched emphasis, if you like, from our left to our right. Nice move by my allies there on the right flank. So if you notice, we're quite strong on the left flank now, and we are attacking vigorously on the right flank. So the enemy now are in a position where they're kind of going to be hemmed in a little bit here, and gradually we'll start to apply the pressure from the right and from the left, and probably kind of try and squeeze them together, if you see what I mean. But there's a heck of a lot of enemy Julii forces left. And it's funny how the battle can turn around. At one time we were defending really heavily against massive attacks, and now it looks like they're going to be defending against our attacking forces now. As you can see, we're trying to get cavalry and infantry round the rear, if possible, of the enemy team. If we can get cavalry, especially round the rear, and then we can do like surgical strikes. You know, we can see where the enemy are fighting engaged, a little bit looking a bit weak, and we can charge them with our cavalry and rout units there. So that's always good to try and get your cavalry in behind the enemy when they're engaged. Here's a Julii cavalry charge coming in here. That's a lot of cavalry. It wouldn't surprise me if it did rout a couple of units there, and you can see one of our allies' units just routed, but he's taking units up to reinforce that position there. That was a big cavalry hit, so well done to our ally to be able to hold it. If you notice now, we're getting units in behind the enemy team now. See the cavalry there poised to attack. You see, we're gradually closing in, if you like kind of we reform, rally, and then kind of move in slowly. As you can see, a lot of the enemy are in testudo over here on the right flank, and gradually we'll take those testudo units out. If it takes one at a time, because they're kind of not that strong to attack now, we can start taking those testudo units out at our leisure, because all they do is just stand there. They're great for defense, but they do just stand there, and if you just attack them, they will break. As you can see, there's some Julii cavalry getting in behind the rear of our Scipio teammate there. But if you notice, he spotted the danger there. Can you see that? And he's moving infantry units over to cover the rear of his engaged infantry, because that's where that cavalry wanted to charge into. He wanted to charge into the back of his engaged cavalry to rout those units. But he spotted that, and he's moving infantry round, shadowing them as they move round the rear of our positions there. Just like to say, the enemy Julii army is holding very well at the moment. If you look at the forces ranged against it, it's doing extremely well to be able to hold. Really well done to that enemy general there. Do you notice that the Julii cavalry are charging in there, trying to go into the back of our units, but we spotted that and sent infantry out to meet them. Only a couple of them got through to the target they wanted to, and they just routed almost as soon as they hit where they wanted to. If you notice now, we've got cavalry units and infantry units round the rear of the enemy there, and I would think it would be only a matter of time now before before we charge into the rear of the enemy, and they'll probably all be routed there. And there we go. The last of the enemy units have routed. In fact, I think their generals have just admitted defeat there. So from what looked a very precarious situation on our left, we managed to do well there. First thing I'd like to say is really well done to everybody in the game. I thought the other team played extremely well. I like to see aggressive attacking actions there, which they did on our left flank. Really well done to them there. And I thought the Julii held very well towards the end as well. So really well done to the other team. And really well done to the team I was in as well. I thought there was some great support, some great teamwork, which is, you know, I'm always saying in my battle videos, teamwork is essential, and I thought that was a great display there. Some nice attacking moves and some great defending too. So really well done to everybody in the game. This is Spartan Commander saying, hope you enjoyed this one. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.